Welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. Up right hand corner we have Soulkey starting as the yellow Zerg. Bottom left hand corner we have Rush, aka Yamtube, as the red Terran. This is going to be on Eclipse, which you guys should have seen a billion times, because it is a pretty standard 2v2 map. Do the map reveal off. I expect you guys are familiar with it. I don't think you can ask for a better matchup. I would be hard-pressed to come up... If you said just pick two random pro players where the matchup's going to be incredible, these are the two guys I think I might pick. They're definitely in the top 10 as far as like matchups I'd like to see out in the world. Rush, very, very strong altogether. Fairly strong versus Zerg. Usually a very aggressive Terran player. Soulkey, on the other side, an absolute master of Zerg. Incredible player himself. Really incredible with his Mutalist micro and doing macro Zerg styles. He can do it all. Looks like he's going to go for an Overlord first build. This is on a two-player map, and oh, we're getting an early scout. Wondering if this is... Wonder if that's to check for Proxy. I think he's knowing that Rush can be an aggressive player, so he's going kind of a wily pattern across the middle of the map. But we do have a Splighty Bow out front, which leads me to believe that Rush might even be trying to pull off a 14 command center. Or maybe at least command center after racks. This drone is easily going to be able to slip in the lines. And it looks like Soulkey is going for a hatchery first build behind this, so he's going to go for a 12th hatch. The drone now harassing that SCV on the front. Two more SCVs pulling off the line, so there's at least that amount of economic disruption, so the drone being worth its weight. Some nice micro there on the front. Drone versus SCV. In theory, drones should win because they've got a little bit of superior range and they regenerate. But SCVs are so bulky, that 60 HP, they've got a lot of room for air. Looks like the SCV that took damage is still going to sit there. That drone's going to pull out. Maybe. The SCV still wants to mix it up. Finally moving out to scout. 12th hatchery being built. Overlord over that edge to go ahead and provide additional scouting information. That drone thinking about attacking that gap, but still getting shots there in the background. SCV production continues. No gas as of yet. Looks like a supply depot is being planted to go ahead and do for the full seal. Marines do spawn right in that corner right there, so should be okay. And seeing that it's a faster expansion, it looks like Soulkey's actually going to go for 3 hatch before gas. Although there is an SCV in position to disrupt it. It looks like he's just checking that 12 o'clock... That's clever. Checking the 12 o'clock location and the drone pulling right back out. But Rush holding that drone short, maybe to get absolute confirmation of the hatchery position. We'll see. Looks like he does have that command center after the initial Marine is produced. Grabbing some Marines with... Is that the same SCV? Yeah, the same SCV that took that little bit of damage. And a drone... This same drone wants blood. He's like that. Our fight's not over, even though this SCV is a different SCV and it has full health. So gonna harass as much as he can with that. Extractor being planted, spawning pool just about up, or is up, I should say. Zerglings being produced, maybe to get the SCV wiped out before it's able to get a lot of confirmed information, specifically the timing of that gas. Although I think that SCV was able to see that earlier hatchery to know that this is going to be a little bit of a delayed gas comparatively. So drone taking a couple hits, or drone, SCV taking a couple hits, moving back to the lines. I do believe with this SCV not having any kill, that battle drone did a good amount of damage to start and survived. SCV's been taken out, layer mutating, and this puts Rush a little bit in the dark. So he knows that there is quick 3 bases there, but doesn't know what's going on from here. If I were him, I would definitely assume it's going to be Mutalist play, and that is kind of what I'm expecting at this stage. The Zerglings making their way across the map. Refinery up. Second barracks online. I'm curious to see if we're going to see a third barracks. Looks like we're actually seeing 2 Racks Academy to start. So, and the Overlord is going to be able to get over that edge to look at the collection of Marines being produced, so he can keep those Zerglings back, doesn't have to run up to take some fire to go ahead and confirm that. Saturation now at the natural and the main. But what this is, this does allow from Rush, and it's funny because I saw this in previous matches and it kind of threw me off, where Rush sometimes goes with the 2 Racks opener and doesn't dedicate with his initial Marine attack force. Applies the pressure, but even when previously there weren't sun colonies and things like that, doesn't necessarily dedicate if he doesn't like what he's seeing. Oftentimes I think other Terran, what they will do is with this build, they'll just go straight. They'll like, nope, I feel like I'm too far behind otherwise, so I'm just going to dive in. But what this does open the option for him to do is, yes, maybe attack, take out a hatchery potentially, maybe force some Sunkens. But if I don't like what I see, I don't know, I've seen Rush play out of this before. So, medics are there. Once this Firebat's being produced, ooh, Firebat is a big indicator that no, he's actually thinking about the full-on burst. Comsatting the front, sees the creep colonies there. They haven't started morphing yet. The Zergling's running up to check. They see the medic. The Firebat's being hidden, and I like that Firebat's being hidden in the back lines. Maybe that Firebat is actually just staging back at home base to prevent run-bys. So the Firebat, I thought was going to be part of that attack force, but instead it is staying in the rear just to prevent those Zerglings from shooting the gap. Engineering Bay upgrading +1, third barracks being tacked on. So yeah, this is just to force those Sunken colonies out. The Sunken colonies planted. Spire 2/3 finished. That 12 o'clock base also has double Sunken colonies down. And that does cut into Soulkey's drone count a little bit, but at the same time, that allows him to play more aggressively in the mid game with those Mutalisks. The Zerglings still trying, and this is what I was talking about. So Rush pressures the front, but then opts to just go ahead and stage in the middle of the map and get a little bit of that map control. Looks like he is going to be able to wipe those Zerglings out, and that does put a little bit of pressure on Soulkey to keep an eye on that army and basically make sure he doesn't lose track of it just in case, I don't know, some other shenanigans were happening out in the field. So at least a bit of vision and control has been added. Rush moving a Firebat up to the 9 o'clock position. Maybe he's thinking about a quick third base. Factory being planted. It is possible, let's see if he drops a machine shop, because it is possible he might go for a siege tank timing to follow this up. Range being upgraded, +1 weapons, about halfway finished. Looks like he's lifting the factory, so no, this is in fact going to be science vessel play, and he should have plenty of science vessels. Firebat just making sure that there wasn't a quick additional being useful here. Mutalisks a little bit later because of that later gas take and that earlier hatchery, but they are now in the air. Evolution Chamber kind of pocketed at that third. But the Mutalisks are out. All sorts of creep colonies being dropped, which leads me to believe, and it looks like Rush sees it, which leads me, yeah, and he's just immediately heading back to home base. And I'm wondering if that will, so double starport being created, but that suggests that is going to be a much heavier earlier dedication to Mutalisks, although we're not seeing the typical weapons upgrade that is associated with that. And I'm wondering if Soulkey is just going to try to play with Sunken colonies, pseudo Crazy Zerg style. Oftentimes with that, you'll see +1 weapons upgraded. Instead, yeah, we're seeing the Queen's Nest, no Hydralisk Den. And we'll see how he pulls it off. Moving in with 8 Mutalisks, getting 2 shots on that missile turret. Looks like he wasn't able, I think he picked off an SCV there. Didn't quite get eyes on it, but the Marines going to the back defensive position, double control tower dropping, science facility being built. So there's going to be a window here where Irradiate isn't researched, so the Mutalisks can still do a good amount of damage. 3 gas is up. But after that, Soulkey's going to have to hurry to Defiler Tech very, very rapidly. Soulkey getting some SCV kills over that natural expansion. Marines moving up. One of them paying for it. Another SCV moving in that back line. Free kill. And Soulkey just happy to take the Mutalisk damage, actually. Move in and out. Looks like he got a little bit unlucky with one taking the majority, but now backing off with the rest of it just to make sure that he can get a little bit of economic damage. He does have the overall drone lead. Hive is mutating. It's about 1/3 up. Continuing the pressure over that natural expansion. Trying to get additional SCV kills. Has lost a Mutalisk in this grouping. And with the 4 missile turrets there, 3 of them constantly firing, he's taking a battering with these Mutalisks, and I actually worry. Yeah, so now you can see Rush starting to move out, and I think he's being a little bit more aggressive with this because he does know he has these Sunken colonies out on the front. That is going to force 3 more mutations of Sunken colonies, and actually more being dropped to go up to a full 9. And I think that's actually going to be necessary because look how battered these Mutalisks potentially are. So Rush moving out, comsatting behind it, seeing that there's 3 more Sunken colonies dropped. This is looking like a BGH game right here. +1 weapons now online. The science vessels out in the field. Irradiate still being researched, so those Mutalisks still could be useful before they need to slot back into a more defensive slot. 6 barracks now up online. 5 here, 1... Sorry, that one moved back, so just 5 racks at this stage. +2 weapons now being upgraded. But Soulkey, very shelled up, is working on +1 armor, has that evolution chamber down, and it looks like he is going to make that direct migration to Ultralisk Defiler and is planting a macro hatch in the main. So these Mutalisks back here can defend against drops, Should 2 dropships be produced after this, it looks like it is going to just be a continuation of science vessels. But otherwise, we'll see how Rush opts to play. I think a lot of Terran have had success just macroing up, grabbing 2 command centers instantaneously and continuing to macro. Big supply lead right now for Rush, but this is so many Sunken colonies to try to get through. And the Mutalists could dive down to provide some support as long as they don't group up. Irradiates might not be that big an issue. Soulkey has gathered a lot of gas, mutating Greater Spire as well behind this to potentially get Guardians to help with defense of the front. And potentially Mutalists down over this edge could be a big issue as well. And there's only going to be 4 science vessels and a handful of Irradiates to really deal with that. Scourge dying, but also scouting. 2 defense matrix Marines, and Rush going for it on the front. Here come the Mutalists as well, dedicating all of the Marines. The first 3 Sunken colonies fall. Science vessels, 1 falls, the other manages to stay alive, but these Sunken colonies are plummeting. An emergency Sunken at the south, 3 remain, and that is a lot of Marines still in this, and it looks like it's going to be a quick one. Rush saying, yeah, I don't 2 defensive matrix, and I do not respect your Sunken colony line at all. Natural completely breached, and I believe that is going to be game. Emergency Dark Swarm, that'll protect the drones, but that's not going to protect the hatchery, nor that Sunken colony to the south. Guardians have morphed now to the north, but Soulkey still lost that natural expansion. So just a half second too late on that mutation. I didn't even realize they were mutating right there over that edge. So hatchery being redropped, but a big win for Rush there. And on top of that, let's see if he might be able to produce a Wraith. He's at least irradiated 1 of the Guardians. The Scourge running in. The Marines should be able to wipe that out easily. So Rush is going to continue to... Looks like he's just going to continue to macro up behind this. Some Overlords taking some damage. I mean, he's done... That's considerable damage at the natural. There's the Wraith. I was expecting that. I guess I just missed their build timing. But that is going to fort... Well, let's see if they can dodge away from those Scourge. But yeah, those Guardians... being baited out by the Marines. The Marines continue to charge forward. The Wraith very quickly wiping out these Guardians. Some Hydralisks coming out, and I think these are emergency Hydralisks. Trying to morph a Lurker Egg just to defend the main. Not a lot of Marines left at the natural, though. Firebat from earlier joining the fray. And a Defiler moving back down, but there's no units to defend here. A single Guardian that's irradiated wiped out. That's the end of the air fleet. And now, man, the Hydral Sten actually might have been down a lot earlier, and I just missed it because of where it's hidden. But now that natural going to get taken down again, potentially. A Racer Trick as that Science Vessel making its way towards the drone line at the main. It's just going to go ahead and paint that with green ooze or whatever irradiates, I guess green cloud of irradiation. And that's going to be GG from Soulkey. Interesting play and attempt, but Rush making short work of it. Amazing. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for listening.